Guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm kind of doing another theme here, taking on from the last video. So Yoda showed us some really cool tips and tricks and that you can do with your own MiG to get it really dialed in, to get a really good experience. So I'm going to be implementing some of those elements into my own MiG, which I haven't put together yet. I was working on two things. First of all, Yoda to fly his one and give me the rundown on what I should be doing, what I should be looking for, and how to set it up. The second thing is the thrust vectoring. I received one a few days ago, so I thought it was about time to go through and set it up and basically show you guys. I'm not going to do an unboxing, I'm not going to do a complete build, it's just showing those key parts which Yoda explained in the last video. So I'm in my sort of messy model / building room, so this is where I'll be doing the setup for this one. Okay, so first things first, we'll look at the main wings. So you can see here how flat the bottom of the main wings are. We really need to change the camber of that by raising that tip and also the aileron and flap. So we cut along here and we cut in about 80% of the foam, then another line below that, about a mil part, and then we pull out the wedge and then we raise the back end. So that tip will effectively raise about 3 to 4 mil. So that's effectively where you're wanting to place it, and you can see that tip has a droop, so we're wanting to raise that. So this is where we start off the build. So you've got the wing on a nice flat surface. I'm going to use some tape because it's got a nice straight edge on it, and line it up with that where the aileron meets the wing. Just basically continue that line, and then on the tip you got that panel line, so you're wanting to line it up with that. You can always measure it as well, but I find it just as easier, just as quick, just to use a bit of tape. So to set it up at a new angle now, got the tape there, nice fresh blade, that's crucial. If you use a blunt blade, you have a tendency to tear the foam, so a nice new blade is what you want. And you just want to carefully just do a few passes with your blade. So going in deeper and deeper on each pass, remembering not to go right through. So we're moving on to the line below. It's about 1 millimeter behind that first cut we did. And then we make another cut using, 3 or 4 passes, going deeper each time. But again, not going through the whole tip. So here we can see we've got 2 parallel lines, so about 1 mil apart. I'm just running the knife through again just to make sure that the cut's going through. And effectively what you're wanting to do is take out that wedge and then raise that tip and then glue it. You can see the seam line along here. At its factory, the tip you can see droops down. So you're wanting to have that flat, that seam line to be running flat. So that's what effectively we're doing, and then to change the camber of the wing, and then we can raise the aileron and flap to match it. And here you can see we've cut out the wedge. I'm going to use some thin CA. I didn't want to use anything too thick, so I wanted to get into the crack basically, without spilling everywhere all over the wing. So a good way to sort of open that channel up is use the back of the blade, and it's just to make sure I didn't have any sort of swath of foam or anything, and then be able to glue that in. I was kind of careful not to have drops sort of starting off big going into that piece, so yeah, I'm just applying a few drops and then now a bead. Wanting to be careful that I wasn't going to spill the CA all over the decals, all over the paintwork. and then from there you should be able to just gently raise it, and just that 1mm wedge we've taken away, you've raised that trailing edge about 3 or 4 mil, and that's all you need to do. It just makes so much more difference. And I'm just applying some tape just so I can set it in there and move on to the next wing, which I won't show. It's pretty much the same process. So we'll move on now to the thrust vectoring. So here we have the thrust vectoring upgrade set. I got this one from RC Castle, and it arrived probably a few days ago. So let's have a look at it in the box. I've already opened it, but I just thought I'd repack it just to show you guys what you should be expecting. So you've got some blanks, foam blanks, which will go on the top side of the thrust vectoring kit, almost where the nozzles are. A set of extension wires, so you got 4 extensions and a Y connector in that one, and then you got the actual units themselves. Pretty robust. Most of it's foam. Got a foam nozzle there, and you got some, I think, 17-gram servos. So 2 of those. It's plastic there. And then you got your linkages, which you'll be well used to from any Freewing or Flightline product. And there's that blank, which will get the right one. So that's where the blank goes. So yeah, pretty much it's a small parts count for the upgrade set. You got a few plastic pieces around. Most of it's just foam. And yeah, so next we'll get the MiG on the bench and see what we need to do to install it. So now we've got the MiG upside down on the bench, and we'll need to have a look at how we're going to install the TV kit. So looking at it, you'll be placing the unit about there. You got these tabs here which will mesh up with the cover on the EDFs. And the screw and that plate will sort of mesh into there as well. So obviously we're going to need to do some cutting. So what I can see is we're going to need to cut along the seam, and then that nozzle as well. It's not molded in, so you will need to cut that off, which is pretty easy. You can sort of see where it lines up. When you get your one, you can see where it lines up. You see what you need to do. But there's seams on each side. We can see if I reposition the camera, that it's flush, so it's the right length. It can look a little deceiving, but it's fine the way it is. One thing I did notice about the thrust vectoring upgrade kit is these tabs on the edges, or the wall edges. So there's one here, there's one here, and there's another couple of tabs as well, which would line up, which makes it so much easier to install. So we know where we need to cut. There's a seam line on both sides of the nacelle, and then you need to cut off that nozzle, and then you reinstall, lining up with those tabs. So we'll crack on to it. Alrighty, so got one side off. Pretty easy. Once the glue starts to go, once you start the cuts and that, and the glue starts to go, it's quite easy to pull up. Right, as I said before, we've got these holes for these tabs. There is a plastic piece here, so when you are cutting the rear, just be aware that there is a plastic piece there, and on the thrust vectoring kit, that line there will mesh up with that, so just be aware of that. We've got some, so the locating tabs there, and one there, this locating thing here. here, plastic in here, so just be aware of that. That's not plastic. This comes off cleanly. So what I did is, you can probably saw on the time lapse that I cut along the top and then just gently pull it back, and you're able to sort of work that out. So if we go, we should, now there is a channel, get around, there's a channel for this wire that goes around here, so I'm guessing I'm going to have to cut a groove, and preferably in the inside, although it leads to the outside. So maybe I might have to cut a channel along this inside piece here, route it back into the inlet, or follow where the ESC wires go. That's what we have to do. So test fit. So like I said, you got this little tab, this plastic tab here. That should line up to that. Plus all the colours, makes it easy as well. So, and we've got these location tabs. Oop, get it right place. The locating tab there, and there's one on the other side. And when it's all press fit, and then you'll have that these pieces to seal up along there. So that's wow, that's pretty cool. Very clean in the cuts. So they did this really well. They did this really well in terms of like the fitting. Like you can see the seam, it's where it lines up from the two different colors. Perfect. So once you get the pieces cleaned up, it should be almost like it was fitted at factory. So that's encouraging. That's really cool. Okay, so well, I'll clean this up. Not that I need to do much, because if you cut along those seam lines, it just works. One thing to probably note, which I should have done on this side, which I didn't do, which I'll do now, is with these wires, it's easier to cut the channel when the EDF's not in there. So I should have thought about that before. So we'll just line this up here. So that's in place there. And I'll just quickly mark. So we'll just mark it there. So now I know where to start my channel. Yeah. Okay, so you can see where I've just marked it there, where the wire's going to come out, with the channel I want to make. That'll route from here down to there and just sort of slip over this channel there, which makes it really clean, gets it out of the way, put a bit of tape over it, and it shouldn't affect the outflow of air terribly much. Okay, so that was relatively easy. There's a lot of foam material here. You probably don't need to go, really far down. Just enough, just so the wires are flush when you put the tape over it. Pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, I'll move on to the next stage, which is adding in the firing booty to the end of this and routing that through, routing the extension wires for the thrust vectoring through. The channels which I've used underneath. Basically, you just need to follow the ESC wires, or the battery connectors, where you plug the batteries in. Follow that with your spring wire, which you've probably got from previous kits. Route it through. I tried to do all three at once, just didn't work. So one at a time. Just take your time through it. Pull it through, and yeah. Alrighty, so after some fiddling around, I finally figured it out. Okay, so what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to plug the, I suppose the planes for the elevator, so these bottom servos, you want to plug them into separate channels. For side to side, you wanted to plug it in its own channel using the Y cable. And how I've got it set up for mixing is, if I just back out of here, one thing you will need to do, guys, is to mechanically trim these out. These are off, but I just wanted to get it set up initially. So I've got, so like I said, the two elevator, the bottom servos, they're in their own channel, aux2 and aux3. So elevator to those ones, and then the ailerons to those channels as well, and then rudder to that to aux4. So that's the one of the Y cable. So if I move the ailerons, you've got, it's good, elevator, just what you want, and then rudder, happy days. I'm gonna have to mechanically, or actually I'm gonna build the rest of it and then mechanically trim those, which should be fairly easy. That's your standard Freewing linkages. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's I'm pretty happy with that. Team, I think that'll about do it for me. You know, there's nothing much more to show that you probably haven't already seen before, or someone else hasn't already just done a video on it. Anyway, the whole assembly guide. I know, I think Motion RC did one. There's plenty of other really good YouTubers out there that have done the full build on it. So, you know, if you get stuck from this point onwards, be sure to check those out. Do a bit of a YouTube search. I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Guniak. For you guys here in Australia, if you haven't heard of Guniak and you fly EDF jets, clearly you're living under a rock. No, but seriously, be sure to check him out. He does these cool things, the old center burners. You would have seen parts of that in the video before on the installation. He's got a website, so guniak33.me. Link will be in the description below. He's got a YouTube channel, he's got a Facebook page, obviously a Gmail to contact him as well. If you have any EDF jets that you're wanting the center burner for, have a word to him, see what he can do for you. I know there are some sort of limitations on certain EDFs, but who better than to ask the guy who produces so many of these fantastic products and such an easy install. Like seriously, it's a super simple install. It's literally plug and play, so you can't ask for better than that. And for this kit here, you know, you got twin 80s. I think it's around about $100 Australian. So, and that's delivered. And it's delivered really quickly. I think, well, I know that the burners arrived long before this did. I think it was about a week and a half, and that was even during COVID time. So when it was shipped, it was about a week and a half before it got here. So that's here in Brisbane. So that's, you know, that's absolutely awesome. So again, guys here in Australia, or even in the US, if you fly EDFs and you haven't heard of Guniak, link in the description below. Check out his stuff, really good quality and super easy to install. Another big shout out, we got Mr. GB Lynden RC. He has been a huge supporter, not only for promoting the channel on his live streams, which I'm really, really grateful for, but also for allowing me to hassle him at all times of the day and night. So I'll be asking him simple questions, you know, what should I do about this for the channel, what should I do about this, and we have a bit of banter and go back and forth. He's a really good guy. If you haven't checked out his channel, his link will be in the description below. He does some really good reviews on just a myriad of RC products, and he also has a random review channel, so that's pretty random. Anyway, so also I just wanted to give a big shout out to James from Motion RC. You know, you played the video of the setup for the turbine MiG last week or the week just gone. So that was, and we got a few, comments from that. So that was really cool to, gather interest. I know that Yoda was quite chuffed about that as well. And he's been answering a few questions, so that's been good. Anyway, I'm rambling on again. So thanks for watching. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, still give it a thumbs up, or don't. It doesn't bother me. I'm a small channel, so hopefully the information was helpful. And if you are getting the thrust vectoring kit, hopefully this gives you a little bit of inspiration and probably a bit of relief about what you're going to be getting in the kit, how easy it is to install. I'm not really a model builder. Like, I'm trying to dabble in the Aero Tetris SR71. That's just like a big 3D jigsaw puzzle, so that's nothing to that. I'm not actually scratch building. But this, if you got a sharp knife and glue and some tape, thrust vectoring kit would be easy for that. So yeah. Anyway, check them out. Yeah, I think that they should do it. I've spoken for too long anyway. Have a good day, guys. Hope you're all being well. Hope you're all staying safe, and we will see you probably on the maiden for this. So I'm not nervous about that at all. Anyway, ciao.